Hi, good day. My name is Carl Patrick Scorpus, your speaker. Let's talk about the gender and society. The gender and labor. Around the world, finding a job is much tougher for women than it is for men. When women are employed, they tend to work in low-quality jobs, in vulnerable conditions, and there is little improvement forecast in the near future. Addressing challenges and reducing constraints on women in the labor market. So in summary, despite a decline in the gender gap in labor force participation, the gender gap in productive and decent work persists in the Philippines. Women are subject to the deficit of less available work, more vulnerable work, and the unpaid work burden in many occupations. And industries are paid at a lower rate than men, even when they do find work. The Philippines faces the task of generating employment growth, reducing vulnerable employment, and improving decent work opportunities. This will require broad macroeconomic responses to expand employment opportunities as well as policies and legislation to improve decent work, social protection, and active labor market support. So there's a policies for gender equality. It is not recognized as a normative macroeconomic goal in the Philippines National Development Fund. There is no need for country-specific analysis of the gendered impacts of fiscal and monetary policy, along with gender-sensitive and transformative program design and implementation. Reducing women's unpaid domestic and care work is an important strategy to facilitate the participation of women on more terms with men in labor market. Next is the gender in media. Media and gender refers to the relationship between mass media and gender, and how gender is represented with media platforms within media platforms rather, sorry. These platforms include but are not limited to film, radio, television, advertisement, social media, and video games. Sexualization is happening in media and gender. Mass media has become a driving force to discrimination based on gender. Images and expectation of gender roles are highlighted through a variety of platforms and sources like structures of language, activities, media, school settings, historical passages, or art pieces in the workplace. Sexualization of women in particular, is heavily centralized in mass media, when these platforms hypersexualize women, portray them in a lack of clothing, or depict women as a subordinate to men. A women's self-esteem, body image, and emotional well-being may be negatively affected. Thus, women are often victims of online and offline violence as a result of the normalization of their body's objectification. To advocate against the objectification of women in the media, some programs are implementing projects on this issue. For instance, some trainings and handbooks are being developed by international organizations and NGOs for media professionals to improve the gender sensitivity of media representation. Gender and activism. Activism consists of efforts to promote, impede, direct, or intervene in social, political, economic, or environmental reform with the desire to make changes in society toward a perceived greater good. Forms of activism range from mandate building in community, petitioning elected officials, running or contributing to a political campaign, preferential patronage of businesses, and demonstrative forms of activism like rallies, street marches, strikes, sit-ins, or hunger strikes. However, the most highly visible and impactful activism often comes in the form of collective action, in which numerous individuals coordinate an act of protest together in order to make a bigger impact. Collective action that is purposeful, organized, and sustained over a period of time becomes known as a social movement. Being opposed to women's reproductive rights, LGBT issues like marriage equality or transgender rights, certain administrative policy instruments such as gender mainstreaming, as well as the public financing of gender studies programs, the advocates of these platforms tend to depict all political and non-governmental actors. Administrative staff in scientific researchers focuses on these issues as a single homogeneous group and unorganized. Thank you for listening.